Hi guys, welcome once again to my channel. To my returning subscribers, I say thank you so much. Thumbs up for the love shown. You are the real MVPs. And to my first timers, you are welcome to my channel. On this channel, I talk about nursing in the UK, requirements you need, what you need to do to come here, things you need to take notes, poetry, and everything in between. Today's session, I'm going to answer one of your frequently asked questions. Because in my previous video, I mentioned that after the IELTS and the CBT, one needs to write the OSCE, which is to now get a PIN to practice as a registered nurse in the UK. So the person wanted to know, the question was from one gentleman. He wanted to know how many times you can take the OSCE, just in case you don't pass on your first attempt. Okay, so with the OSCE, normally you have 3 attempts. Okay, you know the OSCE is part of the CBT, so the CBT is the part 1 and the OSCE is the part 2. The test of competence that's the part 2 is the OSCE, the practical exam. And it's basically, we used to have an old OSCE, those were 6 stations. Now we have 10 stations, which is namely assessments, planning, implementation, evaluation, 4. Then you are going to do 4 skills, and normally you are trained by either the hospital or where your workplace. Some other workplaces, they only give you the materials, which can be hard copy or soft copy, and you will need to be practicing on your own. Some will train you for a week, some will train you for 2 weeks. It depends. It depends. So after the assessment, planning, implementation, evaluation, you do 4 skills, and the 4 skills could be, there are many. Let me see if I can read out what I have here. Okay, so after the API, we normally call it API, you have wound assessment. You could be asked to assess a wound and dress it at the end. So wound assessment and ANTT, we have catheter, specimen of urine, removal of urinary catheter, MSU and urinalysis, fine bore nasogastric tube insertion, pressure area assessment. That is a written station, but you could get it as a skill as well. In hospital resuscitation, and each station has got minutes, has got time, so it depends. You have the visual infusion phlebitis assessment and intravenous cannula flash. It's also 12 minutes. Intramuscular injection, you have the subcutaneous injection for 12 minutes, blood glucose monitoring for 8 minutes, pain assessment for 6 minutes. And currently, administration of suppository bowel assessment has been added as well. Nasopharyngeal suction. So in all these, we have nutritional assessment, oral care plan. So in all these skills, you'll be asked to do 4 of them, and it could be written or practical. You are asked to do 4 out of the many, about 14 or 16 skills I mentioned. Then we have 2 written stations. So with the 2 written stations, we have one professional value. You are going to write on one professional value, and then one evidence-based. The evidence-based is more like a research, and you are supposed to write a summary out of the information you are given. Sometimes they leave some of the salient points out, and you need to add it. And all these materials are available on their website. If you search, I would look for the link and post it in the comment section or as part of the description. So you have 10 stations, and most of the time, in my case, I was trained by my trust. I was trained by the hospital. You are normally trained for a week, and you are given some time to do some supervised training and then unsupervised training just to prepare you for the main day. Yes, so I'm going to mention some things to take notes before I come to what happens when you are not able to pass on your first attempt. So once you'll be trained, but make sure you practice, not just reading it. Yes, it's there. When you go online and you browse it, you get it, but don't be reading it like a storybook. You have to act it out. You have to be a bit more dramatic. You have to make it look so real, because some of the skills you don't use human beings, you are given mannequins, so you have to act like the mannequin is a human being. You have to act as if the mannequin was a human being. How would you have gone about it? So what I used to do was that, and I learned it online. I chanced upon a YouTube video, and that is what I used to polish my skills. And I also had a group that we used to study. I was normally using my pillow as a patient, and then I tried to improvise most of the things because I didn't have the items at my disposal, so I had to improvise some of the things, and I used the pillow as my patient. So I'll just be acting out, explaining procedure and all that, providing privacy. Yes, there are a million videos about osce online. Okay, so these are the things you have to take notes. Aside the book aspect, I know you are going to get a lot of information online. You're going to get a lot of YouTube videos to search from. YouTube is a search engine, and so you can always search for things to read about, things to do, and all that. So one thing you have to take note: don't be overconfident. No matter how you've practiced, no matter how you think you can memorize, no matter how sharp or retentive your memory is, please don't be overconfident. Don't make it look as if, oh, assessment is just checking observation, assessment is just blood pressure. Oh, assessment, why do I need to practice for assessments? And believe you me, there are certain practical or certain skills that you feel you know. Those you think you know, they are the ones you can easily fail, because you tend to take them for granted because you feel you know, so you might not practice so well. Please don't be overconfident and ask questions. When you get to the exam hall and you are not so conversant with the equipment, maybe the blood glucose monitoring machine or the blood pressure monitor, the thermometer, if you are not conversant with it, ask. Some of them will take you through, they will teach you how to use them. But if you are not so sure about something, please ask. Because when you get to the exam hall or when you get to the station, it depends on your assessor. Some assessors would tell you everything. Some too would just go ahead, are you ready to start? And then just start. And when they even give you the chance to ask, some will take time to answer your questions, and it might dig deep into your time. So overconfidence is one, and then be curious, ask questions. Anything you are not sure about, don't assume, ask questions. And the third thing I was coming to, or the most, I think I should have spoken about it first, time. Time, as I always say, that time can be an enemy in IELTS. Time can equally be an enemy in osce. Time. Most people fail because of time, or let me say some people fail because of time. So time, make sure you manage your time very well. Even when you feel you might not be able to complete your task, try to verbalize whatever is left. Whatever is in your mind you were supposed to do and you didn't do, say it. And if you are privileged to finish before time, and the examiner asks you or tries to find out if you are done, please try to mention anything you forgot. Just try to recall, because if you are able to verbalize it, you might be favored because of that. Yes. And another thing you have to take notes is also documentation is key. In almost all the tasks, documentation is key. If you don't document, that means you haven't done it. The skills, you need to write your name on the question paper. Please do that first. Always try to do that first, depending on the skill you get. Even if you don't do that first, remember to write your name, your full name. If you don't write your name, that means the paper doesn't belong to you. It will be difficult to defend you, even if the assessor wants to pass you. You didn't write your name, so where is the evidence that that's your question paper or your answer sheet? That is one thing. Always remember to write your name. Okay, so coming back to our gentleman's question, you have 3 attempts for the osce. If you don't make it in your first attempt, you have a second attempt. You even have a third attempt. Nobody is going to pack your bags to go back home, but most people pass on the second attempt. Most people pass. It's just a little percentage that go on to the third attempt and they eventually pass. That is not to say that you have to relax and say, oh, after all, I've got 3 attempts, so let me just do it anyhow. No. Remember that you are paying money for the receipt. It's not for free. You are paying money for the first one. There are some trusts that will pay the osce for you. There are some that will pay for you and then be deducting from your salary as time goes by. If you set for a receipt, you pay for it. It is not for free. So take notes. Just take that one into consideration. Just consider, aside the money, the stress you go through traveling. Some of us had to travel about 5-6 hours to go and write osce and come back. So yes, the stress is one, the money too is another. But if you don't make it on your first attempt, please don't beat yourself. About your second attempt is that you only write your field station. You don't go back to write all the stations like IELTS, that you would fail reading and then you have to write everything again. osce is not like that. You write the station you failed. Yes. So we've come to the end of today's video. In my next video, well, I'm going to keep you guys in suspense, but keep subscribing and kindly click on the bell so you can be notified of any videos I post. Okay, thank you so much, and it's bye for now. Be good out there.